Hey guys, Mitch Benner. Welcome back to Shattered Darkness Podcast. This is episode number 72. Today we have two pretty special guests, unique guests with us. We have Ben Hess and Elizabeth Malik. And we will get to them here in a second. I wanted to introduce Cash Case, my co-host as well. And it's been a few weeks since we've been recording, so we're excited to be back in the studio and putting some more stuff out. So we record here at the Love Shack Mocktail Bar in downtown Loveland on 4th Street. If you guys are unfamiliar with that, come check it out. It's a great place for sobriety, to hang out, to meet like-minded people in sobriety, and it's a really awesome environment just to get some fun drinks, coffee, work, do the things that you need to do. The space is huge, so if you have events, you can rent event space and things like that. So make sure to check it out, the Love Shack Mocktail Bar, 120 East 4th Street. And with that, we're just going to get right into our episode today. So again, I want to introduce Ben Hess and Elizabeth Malik. Did I say your name right?
100%.
Okay,
so
perfect.
impressed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So yeah, they are currently working on a production movie that I'm not going to say too much about. That's what they're here to talk about. So without any further ado, we're going to let them take over and talk about their project.
Sadly, I don't know where the people who inspired these stories are today. I don't know whether they found their way out. I don't know whether they succeeded in overcoming the demons and the trauma and the addiction that held them down.
I'm Elizabeth Malik, and I'm the producer on About a Fix.
And I'm Ben Hess. I'm the writer and soon-to-be director of the film.
This is an indie feature film that we are making all on our own, hopefully with your help.
Our main character's name is Iris, and she has had a very difficult life up to this point.
A young girl who's struggling with addiction, generational trauma, and is finding herself caught in a repeating loop of events that she just can't seem to get out of. This movie is inspired by Ben's true life experience when he worked as a detective in a mid-sized city in Colorado.
While Iris is not a real life person, she is based on a couple of different cases that I encountered while I was working as a detective, working with victims of crime, specifically victims of human trafficking, victims of addiction.
Throughout the movie, Iris meets a cast of characters who are seemingly trying to help her, but a lot of them are also embroiled in this underworld with drugs and trafficking. We want the pace of the film to be almost like a thriller, a little true crime, whodunit. There's an uneasiness where we don't know what characters we can trust, along with Iris as she's figuring that out in real time.
While visual storytelling has always been something that's been very passionate to me, my career took me in a different direction. I went into law enforcement and ended up being a detective for a number of years, and which is, again, where a lot of these stories have come from.
One of the things that was really important to the both of us is having a female cinematographer behind the camera on this project so that we aren't telling a female's story from the male gaze.
I am so excited to work on this project because Ben and Elizabeth, I know, are going to be amazing collaborators who are going to execute on a really high level. Ben's script is something that I feel really strongly about. Sometimes you're reading a script and you feel like, oh, I can't root for any of these characters, like there's nobody likable in this. And at the foundation, at the anchor of this very heavy story are characters and relationships that you really care about. And there's these moments that they have with each other where you feel like you see how they're smart, how they're funny, how they treasure each other, even though they're in these really challenging circumstances. And so you are really with these characters, you're really rooting for them.
There immediately was struck by a very distinct visual style that she has and her way of taking ordinary scenes and making them beautiful. And that this project really deserves that take. The story is not beautiful. The subject matter is very, very dark and difficult. Look at it through a lens that can transform it into something that you want to see on the screen was very important. Elizabeth, isn't there something starting in 2027 in the state of Colorado that we might be interested in?
I think so. It's a small film festival coming to Colorado. Sundance will be making its home in Boulder, Colorado. So we would love if our film was done and finished and completed by the time to submit, that we could be one of the first potential Colorado-based films to premiere at the Colorado Sundance Film Festival. And we need your help to do that. So what we need are folks like you who are interested in investing in a film that can help us provide these jobs for our community, as well as the funds to make this movie happen. There are a few ways that you can get involved to help make this happen. We have a fiscal sponsorship through Denver Film. So if you're interested in donating money to our project, that is a way that you can do it that will, one, actually support Denver Film as well, and it will be a tax-deductible donation. Anything above $100,000 donation, it would be considered an equity investment where you would get a share in the ownership of the movie. We don't get to hear the voices of these women very often. The women who are struggling with addiction, who are struggling with abuse, they have important stories to tell, and when we can create a movie that audiences can connect to, that can help them understand those women a little bit better, we can offer a way in to empathize with them, which will hopefully make our society a little bit better, one person at a time.
So Ben, why don't you tell us a little about yourself, a little your background.
Cool. Well, first of all, the bar upstairs makes it amazing. What is this called again?
Chocochino.
Chocochino. It's really, really good. So if you think about coming here, I would recommend it.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, as these guys said, my name is Ben Hess. I'm a Northern Colorado resident. Live in Windsor. Have a couple kids, family. But I'm also a screenwriter, producer, director. Commercial stuff. I do a lot of work for nonprofits, video production, but also make short films, music videos, the fun stuff that doesn't actually pay the bills.
Yeah.
But like I said, that's the fun stuff, and that's kind of where the passion still lies in video production, filmmaking. But again, like you guys mentioned, we're here today to talk a little bit about a project that we're working on for a feature film. That came out of some stories that I experienced. I was a detective for many years. And so some of the stories that I kind of have stayed with me over the years in working with victims of crime, victims of addiction. And those stories really stuck with me, and wanted to write a script and make a movie about, telling some of these people's stories, because they don't really get told very often, or at least they don't get told in the right way.
Right.
So
can I ask you, this is really early for questions. When you were having these experiences with these people, did you know off the rip that like, man, I've got to tell this story? Or did it kind of build over time?
It definitely built over time. In the beginning, I didn't look at it the same way I looked at it at the end.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just, when you first get into that business, so to speak, you get into it for hopefully the right reasons, make society a better place.
You're talking about law enforcement.
Exactly. Yeah. Sorry, law enforcement. Make the society a better place, make the community a better place, help the community. And hopefully you get to do those things. But as time goes on, one of a couple things happen to a lot of people is, one, you just get completely jaded and completely just like, numb to like everything that goes on, or it kind of goes the other direction, where everything you see really starts to kind of sink in and affect you. And that's kind of what happened to me.
Creating a passion, like something.
Yeah,
got to do something.
Absolutely, do something, but also like all of the trauma that you see other people going through, and that you even experience yourself, really starts to build up. Totally. And like get to the point where it causes a lot of people, a lot of first responders, to get addicted to drugs, alcohol, and really to kind of try to quiet a lot of those voices that kind of stick with you.
It's actually something, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No.
It's something I've always respected about like first responders and things like that, is I don't think that people realize the trauma that you guys carry through other people's stories, and Yeah, I've just heard so many people, I mean, even medics, ambulance driver, all those kinds, they just see the worst of the worst, and that's got to have a huge impact on your psyche.
It absolutely does, and like years of therapy and medications and everything else. It's like you try to mitigate a lot of that secondary trauma or even like firsthand trauma that you experience. And you mentioned EMTs. Like I was a cop, I was a detective, but I think about the things that affected me the most, and then I think about ER doctors and EMTs, and I'm like, man, those guys see that shit. I don't say shit.
Yeah, you like whatever you want.
Yes.
Well, start over.
Yeah. Right. No, but I think about like EMTs and like doctors that see, that type of trauma almost every day, and I'm thinking, man, like I think that I had it, rough.
Right.
Then I think about those folks. So damn. So
That's cool. That's a level of compassion.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to hop over to you, Elizabeth, but I want to touch on something.
Yeah.
I remember asking God, I'm a God guy, and I just hear stories of guys that would get so passionate that their whole life would be driven or shifted into a direction like we must. Like I have to say yes because there's nowhere in me that can say no, right? And I remember like the sense that getting like, that's a hard type of passion where it's like this, nothing else matters, right? That you've tapped into, like we have to,
right?
I have to say yes because I can't say no. Right. That's a level of passion that it's almost damning to everything else around you. It's like, I have to, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, Elizabeth, let's hop over to you. Let's hear more about who you are, where you're from, all the things that are Elizabeth.
Yeah, as you said, I'm Elizabeth Malik. I was born and raised in Pueblo, live in Fort Collins currently. I'm the producer on this project, so I was inspired to help Ben, get this done when I read the script and heard a lot about his story. So I'm excited to talk about that and share that with you guys. I've been back in Colorado since August of 2021. I was in Los Angeles for 20 years, where I moved to be an actor, and then was a very cliche person. I waited tables while supporting my life, trying to be an actor. And then got into like long form improv comedy, which led to kind of creating our own comedy videos, led to me writing screenplays, which sort of led to me taking some producing classes and making projects with friends, and then just sort of kept going from there.
Yeah.
And so I primarily produce indie narrative feature films in the under $3 million range. Real scrappy and
I think $3 million. Real scrap.
well, I mean,
This is like a $40 budget you're looking at. So.
a little different. A few more things to add into the mix. But since I've been back in Colorado, I've gotten really involved in the film community. I have the Northern Colorado Film Collaborative that I just started. That's a nonprofit that is championing like film and creative projects up here in Northern Colorado. And through that, I'm the regional liaison for the film office, which means if people want to film in the area, they call me and ask me questions, or I point them in the right direction.
Okay.
And then I'm also the programming chair for Women in Film and Media Colorado. So I provide all the educational workshops and experiences and set those up for all of our members, which in Colorado you can join as a man as well. Any being is welcome. So
That's awesome.
yeah, I'm very community driven. I'm very protective of the film industry since I've been back, and we get a few projects here and there, and I'm really passionate about bringing the industry here and providing opportunities for us to work here so that we all don't have to keep traveling out of state.
Is that what you mean by protective? What do you mean by that? Like, help me understand that.
Yeah, protective of our crews, and protective of the state. When other people come in from outside and they hire all the above the line or other, say, quote unquote, important people from outside of the state, and they bring them here.
Okay.
And then just treat our crews as workhorses, and they don't necessarily provide them the best rates or the best experience, or, I'm a very crew focused producer that does my best to try to protect them, because indie filmmaking is really hard. And a lot of times people are pushing it to 18, 19-hour days, and I don't play that game. It's 12 to 14 max. And not a lot of people hold those lines.
Yeah, sure. I have a question. Where did your passion for all of this come from?
That's a good question.
Filmmaking?
Yeah, just for
All of it?
filmmaking and for being in the positions that you're in. What drove you to those? Because those seem to me, I have no idea, but very important roles in the film society.
Yeah. I am the second oldest in my family. I'm the oldest sister. I mean, I've always been very type A, very driven. When I was young, I used to say I wanted to go to Harvard and become a lawyer and then be the second woman on the Supreme Court.
Just natural drive.
Small goals.
Yeah, right.
And then I was like, oh, maybe I'll just play one on TV. That'll be easier.
There you go. There you go.
That's a good
See, that's my kind of like,
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
the easiest way to get this out there?
Much to my parents' chagrin. So, and then when I moved to LA, I mean, community, I love so much. And I think a lot of it comes from improvisation and long form improv, because that's an art that you're creating as a team, and you get on a stage with 7 people and you just trust that these people are going to do the things to protect you.
What was that comedy show called?
Like, whose line is it anyway?
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you guys, was that here in Fort Collins?
Oh,
Has it been here?
I don't know.
I feel like we got
Maybe.
invited. It was really weird. This was before I got
Short
sober. We got invited to a comedy show where you listen to like a panel like that, and then you smoke weed.
Oh.
And then you go back in and like the whole cast smokes weed and everything, and like
Yeah.
and then they do the whole performance stoned.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's
that's
just
the thing. Yeah, with improv, you can do anything you want.
so
Are you still active in improv?
I've taken a couple classes here. Unfortunately, with like production now, like if I'm working on a film, you know, I'm in prep for a month and then we're filming for maybe 15 to 20 days. And it's like, that's all consuming.
You got a real job.
Everything falls away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, oh, hi family, I'll call you in a month.
And she's busy. You're very busy.
Yeah.
sounds
I also overcommit myself. I have little to no boundaries.
Sure.
No, that's, I think just
saying yes thing. It's,
yeah, I'm the same way.
yeah, like improv is very yes and, right? So
I have one
learning
more
that.
question.
Sure.
Just out of curiosity, but how was your experience in LA for 20 years? I see that as like,
Yeah.
you know, women move to LA to become an actress, and like, you know, that could go one of two ways.
Sure. I personally really loved it. I mean, it takes a while to like get set up there. Like it took me probably about 5 years to set up my life in LA before I felt like I could really pursue acting. And then there's the side of like, you're too heavy to be a star. You know, it's all body focused. But when you find the good people, and I worked in a lot of restaurants for really long periods of time that would become like my second families, and really
Sure.
good people.
That's cool.
And you're surrounded by a city of dreamers that are all attempting to do the same things, whether they're musicians or actors or writers.
Honestly, that's a really cool perspective, because my perspective on that is like very dark,
I know.
you know? And so
Yeah.
to hear you say, I was just curious, because that's a much
City of Dreamers are so cool. I've never heard that term.
It is. It's everywhere. And I noticed it when I moved back here. I suddenly was in the minority because I'm single, I'm not married, I don't have any kids. But in LA, that's the majority. Like your friends that have kids that are raising families in LA, you're like, whew, boy.
They're trying to get out.
Or staying or still chasing their dreams. But like, you know, everyone wants to do something, which can also make it hard to form close relationships unless you're in a job where you're working together every single day.
Sure.
Because everyone's doing something all the time.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So let's get into your guys' project that you're currently working on. And Ben, I wanted to just give you a plug real quick, because you didn't mention the name of your media company, which I wanted to mention is Sly Fox Media.
Sly Fox Cinematic.
Sly Fox Cinematic, sorry.
It's really.
So make sure you guys check out what he's doing, because it's pretty cool stuff. But yeah, let's get into your guys' movie as much as you can.
Sure.
What it's about, and really why you guys are putting this together.
Sure. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Go ahead, bud.
Go for it. Say the title. We haven't said that yet.
We haven't said that yet. Sly Fox Cinematic is my production company. Elizabeth also has her own production company.
Okay, I
Mine
didn't
is-
know that.
that's okay.
Apologies.
It's Inspired Idea Productions.
Okay.
Everybody around here has their own production company. I'll just get that out of the way.
Everyone in this room except me. There's other people here.
Yes.
We'll form your LLC after this.
Right.
Yeah, right, man.
But no, so the title of the film it's called About a Fix. And obviously there's, you know, kind of a double meaning to the title, right? It's about a fix getting, you know, your fix, whatever that is, drugs, alcohol, sex, whatever that fix is, it's about a fix. But it's also about a fix, like the fix of the problem, like how do you fix the problem? So the title is kind of has a double meaning right off the bat. The film itself it's definitely a drama-based film about real life things that happen, but it's framed within kind of a psychological thriller.
Okay.
And part of the reason for that is because honestly, that's more marketable than a straight drama. Like, a straight dramas a lot of times don't get picked up for distribution. They don't get screened at film festivals, for various reasons. But as you guys may or may not know, you go further in the opposite direction. Horror films are, they're a dime a dozen. People are making horror films left and right.
Why do you think that is?
Oh,
Yeah.
you probably know the answer
I
to
mean-
that better than I do.
In a couple of the classes that I took at UCLA Extension, it was explained to me like horror translates to every language, so movies can travel internationally, whereas like a really intense family drama that affects Americans or people that speak English are not necessarily going to translate. Similar comedy translates a little bit, but not always. But that's why horror and action films do so well in the international market. And you have to be able to sell to the international market to make money to fund your projects. Yeah.
But yeah, so this is definitely framed as a psychological thriller. Again, for to make it more marketable, but also I feel like to make it just more interesting and more watchable. But it's very much based in reality, and the reality that at least the reality that I experienced,
Sure.
And tried to translate into a story. But so just a little backstory real quickly. Between Elizabeth and I. So there used to be a local film festival in Fort Collins, and I think this was right after you came back from LA.
Very shortly.
Yeah, there was a screening at a short film in the film festival, and we actually met in the lobby of the. Oh, it was right down the street at the
Rialto.
The Rialto thing, yeah.
So we met in the lobby, and it was like, hey, we need to do a project together.
Yeah.
And then like 3 years.
2 years later, we scheduled lunch.
We finally scheduled lunch.
Things worked out the way they are.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I hadn't even started this project yet. We met for lunch, just talked about just things in general. And then it was the Women in Film and Media Colorado industry fair 2 years ago in Denver that Elizabeth moderated a panel of a couple other Denver-based indie filmmakers, and I think they had both completed their first feature film, and one of which is now on the festival circuit and actually doing really well.
Well, yeah, Lovers is available to rent
Okay.
anywhere, and
Okay.
then Fishbowl is Welcome to Fishbowl is just now hitting the festival circuit.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, and so I literally sat there and watched that panel, and I was like, and I was at a point where I was okay. When I left the 22-year career in law enforcement, I left it to try to make movies, and at that point in that journey, it had started to wane. So I was paying the bills, making corporate videos and stuff like that, talking head stuff. And I was sitting there and I was like, wait a second, like this is what I left that career to do, to make a damn movie. Yeah. And it was that panel that really inspired me to like go in that direction. Sure. Hasn't happened yet, but we're heading in that direction.
Right.
But it was after that I made a short film. The first short film I made, 2020 is when I made it. It was about a young woman who was basically they call it boyfriended into human trafficking. He ended up being her pimp, but it started out they were just boyfriend girlfriend. That's pretty common. That's how that happens. So I said, you know what, that I had the most making very short films. That was the one I was most passionate about the story, about the characters. About making it. It kind of had something to do too, probably that it was the first one I ever did, and there was kind of that magical, oh my gosh, we just made a short film, right? And it turned out pretty good. But I was like, I want to take that story and run with it and make that into something more. So started the writing process. I'd never written a feature script before.
Were you much of a writer?
No. No, and I still struggle with that identity. When I said earlier I'm a screenwriter, I was like, oh, fucking screenwriter.
Yeah, you feel
It's like, why did I say that?
Monster.
Yeah, exactly.
You have written a script,
Yes, I know.
which makes you a screenwriter.
Exactly.
There you go. Yeah, man.
But no, I hadn't, and it it was so difficult to do. Like, it's funny, and I imagine if you talk to anybody who writes, especially like feature-length screenplays or even, books, you start out thinking, oh, I have this great idea. I know how this is going to go.
Yeah.
This is where it starts. This is where it ends. And then you start trying to write it, and you're like, wait a second. Like, how do I get from there to there? Like, what happens in the middle?
Right.
Like, how do you get through all this shit that has to happen to get to the end of the story? So it took a full year to get to the point where I think I even gave anything to you to look at, and many different revisions. I would still be revising it if she didn't yell at me.
Wasn't that
every
what you
time
say,
I
like
read
writing was rewriting?
She's like, you changed something else again? I was like, oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. It's all part of the process.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah.
I even went to Palm Springs by myself for 3 nights just to like do a full revision.
Nice.
And stayed in an Airbnb. My wife was like, where are you going? Why are you doing
Yeah,
this?
what's happening right
I
now?
think it's love valuing that though. That's such a gift, dude, to be able to go in any profession, just disappear,
Yeah.
put it on paper.
Yeah, totally. So, so it's at a pretty good point. We've sent it off to a couple review services, and it's gotten pretty high scores.
That's awesome.
Other people have read it and have had really good feedback, and like, it has resonated with people that have read the script. So we're kind of at that point where, all right, cool, we got that. We're linked up. We have a cinematographer, a great cinematographer who lives and works in Los Angeles. I give her a shout out.
Oh, Sarah. Yeah, Sarah Winters.
Sarah Winters, great cinematographer. So she's agreed to be the cinematographer, and if and whenever it gets made.
Yeah. That's an if.
Well,
Exactly, yeah.
Or not an if. Sorry. It's a win. What a dick. It's a win, not an if. God damn. All right, yeah, got that out.
I want to go back.
Let's sidebar to your negative.
Get this guy out of here. I want to go back to the actual
Let's tell the
story.
story.
Yeah.
the whole psychology. I do appreciate what you said, because it is a cultural difference, right? Where the horror and the action, it makes sense that there's no cultural divide there.
Yeah.
But I am so guilty. Like, if I see drama, unless my wife is like, "We gotta watch this one," I'm like,
Skip.
Nope.
Yep.
And same thing with horror, dude. I try to vibrate it like a high, you know what I mean?
Same. Yeah.
But a psychological thriller,
Right.
I get to use my noodle, and I'm and I've heard, you guys have given us a lot of what's going on in this movie. I'm like, somebody give these people some money. I'm so excited. Because I think, let's just go.
Yeah,
tell us more about it. I'm excited about
Let's
this.
tell the story.
The story, yeah.
Who it follows. And,
Absolutely, yeah. So the story again, the title is about a fix, and the synopsis is a young woman addicted to heroin. That's how she starts out, and mom is a really severe alcoholic. They live in Mobile Home Park. It's set here. It's essentially set in northern Colorado, but it could be any. It really it could be any mid-sized
Anywhere in
Yeah,
America,
totally.
And so we start out, and she's kind of just drifting through life, just doing what she needs to do to get her next fix, struggling with her relationship with her mom, and she ends up running into a guy that she used to date, and they kind of start to rekindle things. And he seems like a great guy. As the story progresses, you start to learn different things about her life. One of which was when she was a child, her and her younger brother traveled around with mom and mom's boyfriend at the time across the Midwest. And what we realized pretty quickly is that mom was being trafficked sexually by this guy, but she had her kids in tow, right? So you come to find out that mom sacrificed her basically entire well-being to keep her kids safe, even though she was stuck in this pattern that most of the times women get stuck in when they become trafficked. A lot of times people say, well, you can just leave, or you can just stop using drugs, or you can just stop drinking. Sure. But as many people know, it's not nearly that easy.
Yeah.
So it's not just as easy as just walking away. So you come to find out that she has the main star, whose name is Iris, by the way, has this history of generational trauma that is now carrying over to her, and because of that, you see these bad patterns continue. The addiction, survival sex. There's a couple instances where that occurs in the story, and just how that all kind of affects her. And then all of a sudden, this guy comes into the picture, and Luca, yes, thank you. And all of a sudden, there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, because all of a sudden now, here's what seems like a positive influence, and everything seems to be going great. But then they go to a party, she has an overdose, and when she wakes up, she's at the party with Luca. When she wakes up, she's in a strange hotel room. Luca's gone, and there's another guy there. His name in the script is Daddy, and there's a reason for that I'll talk about in a second. But you never actually hear his name in the actual film. Nobody ever says it. But just in the script, his name's Daddy. And he is kind of more of your prototypical, dealer, kind of, badass kind of guy. And she immediately is just like, what's going on? She leaves, and there's some more interaction with her mom. And then she ends up going back to him for more drugs.
It's sort of a quid pro quo, right? Like, I saved you, so you owe me this. And she does leave initially, but then finds herself back there.
And then basically Daddy kind of like the town's out of heroin. There's like basically the town goes dry with heroin, but there's still fentanyl. So he's like, hey, I can't give you that, but I have this. So she starts using fentanyl, and just things just go even further downhill from there. And then without getting into any more of the story, just because that's what things exactly. She starts basically psychologically experiencing things that really appear like to be more of a mental breakdown,
like psychosis kind of things.
Exactly. Yep. And so then things kind of escalate in that regard, and hopefully the audience is really trying to figure out what's happening, and things get very intense with all the characters. There's a component then too where she starts to be she starts to go down the road of being trafficked herself through Daddy and some of his associates. So everything kind of culminates in a I want to say
there's a climax.
Yes, exactly.
It's like, will she be able to get out? There's also an element of some law enforcement officers, and a young police officer is still in the script, right? A young police officer that is sort of like where Ben was, of like trying to help these women. One of the things that struck me the most when we talked about his experience in this story is they would offer help to these women, and some of them would say, they'd say like, turn on this man and we'll let you, you'll get out. And they would say, no, I take accountability for my actions. I'm not, like, they had this strange loyalty and would not turn on them no matter what, even if it meant they would go to jail. And
that's such a crazy
pimp would not.
And a psychological, does it, and maybe you can't answer this for the sake of the story, but is there that psychological aspect to pull forward her?
Absolutely. And so I'll just talk about kind of the origin of the story specifically.
Perfect.
Two cases that I worked that really stuck with me. Both when I was a detective. One was exactly how the backstory of the film. So there was a woman who, two small kids, and the film takes place a lot later in this person's life than in my contact with this person. Her kids were still fairly young, but she basically reported the same thing. But it was like 5 years had elapsed, and in most reality, it would have been very hard to do anything other than document the instance, because there wasn't a whole lot of information, which we did. Looking back, I always ask myself, is there more that I could have done? And so part of me is like, telling the story a little bit, because like, I wish I maybe would have done more. But this woman had reported this same thing all up and down Front Range in Utah to different to different agencies, and nobody ever did anything.
Same story.
Same story. Yep. So, and there were mental health concerns,
Sure.
but at the same time, were those caused by the things that happened? So it's kind of hard. You look at it from that perspective, and it's like, well, of course she's going to have mental health issues.
Right.
She went through a lot of shit, right?
dude.
So she largely got written off by a lot of people, but it was a true story, right? So that's kind of the origin of this backstory, and how that trauma, is going to the next generation, and generation after that, until something happens to stop it, right? And then the other story, the other case was it was a young woman who was she was being prostituted here in northern Colorado, and she was involved in a robbery of one of the I don't want to say the word client. I forget the proper term now. I guess the John, right?
Yeah.
So he was assaulted and robbed by the pimp. So essentially, he owed the pimp money, or the trafficker the money, and unbeknownst to the young woman, it was a setup the whole time. He sent her in to get in the door. He ended up following her in and beat the guy up like really badly, to the point where actually he had to go to the hospital, and that's why it even came to light in the first place. Because a lot of times that happens, but a lot of times people don't report it because they're like, well, I was seeing a prostitute, right? So it got reported. The only information anybody had was who she was, so she got arrested. It wasn't my agency; it was another agency. But an organization that works with women who have been trafficked asked if I wanted to talk to her. And the reason why they asked me is because our agency at the time did a lot of work with anti-trafficking. So we would we would do operations to try to identify traffickers. And like you mentioned, where, we would talk to the women and ask if, they would be willing to identify who their trafficker is. None of them ever went to jail. That was super important, because we didn't want to re-victimize them by charging them with a crime and sending them to jail. And like you said, sometimes they did, sometimes they didn't. More often than not, they didn't. But one thing that I noticed in talking with this woman one-on-one is there was a sense of guilt and accountability that she took for her own actions. She didn't see herself as a victim at all. And that stuck with me a lot, because, here she was being, victimized in many different ways. And there were components of addiction there as well. And, I said, I was trying to convince her to, hey, let's take this in another direction. And again, I would have had to talk to the other agency and say, hey, look, this is what she wants to do. But she, she was like, what, maybe going to jail for a year or two is what I need.
I deserve.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Dude,
Wild.
I want to stop there.
Yeah.
So on the addiction side of things, I want to touch on that, which is not what this is about today, but totally. But when we go through the 12 steps, there's a fourth step where you write down a harms to me and a harms by me.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed when working with guys writing, and I work with men, right?
Sure.
The harms by me, or the harms to me, when they go to, like, this happened to me, this happened to me.
Yeah.
And who was it? And really, like, this is the moment where you really have to mourn a loss. A loss of yourself. There's a mourning process. You need to experience, like, hey, I was wronged. Like, I was injured. I was hurt. And I find it a lot in specific, like in abandonment situations, but like they have a really, really hard time giving over blame. Or, I mean, the last time I did, somebody was like, dude, this is the moment to nail that person to the cross right now. Like, we got to fully go into that.
Yeah.
And there's always like, well, I was sneaking out. I was kind of a jerk. And I was like, you didn't deserve to be beaten.
Right.
Yeah.
You didn't deserve, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that is such a common, I don't know, mental trap where it's like, well, I deserve this false sense of shame, where it's not, we're unkind to ourselves. So anyways, that's just like my perspective on that. But I get that. It's hard to watch. Like, no, man, no, you were victimized. You did a lot of horrible things. We'll get there and we'll grow from that. But you've got to recognize that, like, you were hurt.
Yeah.
And you need to not own that, but realize that so we can process that. Yeah. So anyways, keep going.
Well, and you know, that also speaks to one of the goals of the project is to, you know, hopefully help people see all of this from a different perspective, right? Yeah. Especially that being, you know, well, you can just walk away. And a lot of times the women who are trafficked, you know, that's in their head, right? They're thinking, well, I must be okay doing this because I could just walk away. Because people have told me, well, why don't you just walk away? Why don't you leave this guy, and, you know, and just go get a job somewhere, and like go work at the convenience store or whatever. And so the mentality is, well, yeah, why? I guess if I can just walk away and I'm not, then that's on me.
I deserve this.
I deserve this, right?
Oh man, that's so twisted.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. So,
but at the same time, like, I mean, if you're in it though, dude, like, and you're doing those things, like,
yeah,
I don't know. That's just a wild mentality, right?
Yeah.
Like, that is a wild mentality to me.
And you know, to the addiction piece too, you know, that mentality, you know, is also tied in heavily to addiction, whether it's drugs or alcohol. And, you know, that being a condition of that mentality, that kind of follows, right?
And it's kind of mandate for whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I just got to make it go away.
Yep. Yeah.
Sorry. Keep going.
No, that's a perfect analogy. And it just, you know, helps put them right back in, keep them right in it. So back to the story, you know, those two stories, you know, really stuck with me and just made me want to tell that person's story, you know, in a completely different way. That, you know, to just, again, just to tell the story, maybe partly therapeutic. I think all art is a little bit therapeutic. Anyway,
That's actually a good point. And something I wanted to ask you about, like, was there lasting, I mean, there had to have been lasting trauma for you.
Oh, yeah.
The situation as well, you know, that you've had to go back and deal with. And so is this process helping with those kinds of things?
It's a good question. I don't know.
Check in a couple of years.
Well, maybe you're in the process.
Yeah. It's definitely in the process. Yeah, and I'm a person who I internalize a lot of outside things, like other people's, you know, what they're going through. I let that affect me. Sure. I don't let it affect me. It affects me, and sometimes I have a hard time like letting go of that. Yeah. Just kind of in general, just like who I am. So telling the story in a way, it's a creative outlet. One, it's, you know, hopefully, it's you know, a start of a career as a feature filmmaker. Sure. Too, because that's my dream. And then also, you know, in a weird way, to help process some of these, you know, emotions and feelings that I have, you know, because of the experiences that other people have had that I've interacted with.
I think it should be said though too, Ben, that like there are other like filmmakers that are like, I want to be a first-time filmmaker, that don't choose to use their voice, their creativity, and their talent to tell a story like this. And you're not doing it in an exploitative manner. You're not doing it to take advantage of people. And it's part of the reason that I'm a part of this process. And we've talked a little bit about this, but, you know, Ben's ability to empathize with people and to see these women as actual people is not always the case. Especially in filmmaking. It's a tough world, like where I'm constantly fighting of like, people are like, I need someone shot for it. It's like, dude. And I'm like, what about this woman? What about this woman? What about this, you know, non-binary person? Right. Yeah. And so it's bringing those to the forefront so that you deserve a little kudos for that as well. And then, you know, I'm not typically drawn to these kind of stories, and it's not necessarily something I would love to always be the thing I do, right, because I'm a rom-com girl, and if I had my druthers, I would just make rom-coms all day.
We can make this.
You know, please tell them I like it.
I can change a few things in this.
There is an element of Luca and the romance and like those things, but I am aware I have a privilege myself as like a white woman who had a very nice middle class upbringing. The father who was a firefighter and a mother who's a physical therapist, and you know, we never wanted for anything, and we were very protected. None of us knock on wood, I guess, have been in jail so far. Like I was never put in any of these positions, so I recognize a privilege that I have to be able to kind of help convey these stories as well.
I'm really glad that you spoke to that, because I was going to ask you, obviously this is very personal for you, but like, where does your involvement lie in this? Like, why have you chosen to take on this project?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a lot of it, the crux of it. And I want to make movies that better the world. Like,
absolutely.
I think my mission statement I came up with years ago is to embolden, empower, and ignite women and unserved voices through storytelling and higher consciousness.
Yeah.
And I kind of try to run everything through those things.
Right.
When you're first starting out, you can't necessarily be like, well, this is my first job line producing, but it doesn't fit my ethos, But as you get further down your journey and you age, I think you can start to do those things, and it kind of fits that ethos. And also Ben is hyper aware of the fact that we're telling a female story. Right. And so he's hired a female producer, and our cinematographer, Sarah Winters. It was really important that this is told through the female gaze and not the male gaze, which is why we've partnered with her to tell this story. It's kind of like all of those things.
That's amazing too. I feel like, I don't know, but like I'm just going through some things in my relationship with my wife, where I've learned that like I really haven't focused a lot on her perspective of things, and I'm trying to learn how to do that. Yep. So I think that's really wise, and will give that story so much more power, because I don't know, man, it's important. Like that's so important.
Yeah, and I think if I had to give myself one good grade, it would be on just the simple fact that I'm self-aware enough to realize that I'm a white male who also didn't grow up in that life. Right. I've had my own issues with some addiction in the past, and maybe even in the future, but we'll see. I'm self-aware enough to realize that I'm these things didn't happen to me, right? So I need to be careful in how and why I'm trying to even tell the story in the first place. And again, realize that it's a woman's story, right? And the mom, it's a mom and daughter relationship. So telling that is, I have to be pretty careful in how I go about doing that, and collaborating with the right people.
Dude, that's been on my mind since for the last couple minutes. I think it's common in story or the narrative is a universal language in any culture. Right. Just a story, the protagonist, the antagonist. But especially in my faith and my belief system, there's always a calling out of something, a separation, calling from something. To something, going through something to go back and save someone. And I hear that, and it's not I like what you said. It's like he's doing it for a good reason. You're not just like, there's a lot. I've seen podcasts that are in the shared space of the recovery, but they're just using. You know what I mean?
Story.
Right. And then there's no, but it's hard to see. And I like this because I do feel like you're called out of this. This is my perspective, right? But you're called from this detective lifestyle, which the word detective alone, if you see it on TV, like half a row, like, ooh, detective. You know what I mean?
Right. Sure.
Called from that darkness into this like exile of like, dude, I'm out here making corporate films, but there's something in me that says I need to go back and get, like, there's unresolved, not that you have some Jesus complex, but you have this ability to do something about it in the way that you were created to do something. You know what I mean? I really value that, dude. I think that's dope.
Dude, and it's funny that you mentioned that. Just a little sidebar. So therapy, I think everybody should be in therapy. I go to therapy. It took me until pretty recently to really come to terms with the fact that all of that shit, I left that profession almost 5 years ago. That all of that shit's still there.
Oh,
it's like I think I hit a point even fairly recently where I was like, cool, I'm good. I don't do that anymore. I don't see that shit anymore. But then all of a sudden it was like, nope,
That doesn't exist.
Hold on, buddy. Good try.
Yeah.
You know, so like, and that's one of the things that I've talked a good bit about in therapy is my relationship with the trauma, with PTSD that, again, largely other people experienced, right? And for a while, I was like, I'm full of shit. Like, why am I like having this much trouble, processing what happened to other people, and it took a while for me to kind of realize, well, it doesn't matter. Like even though it, like that, I wasn't the one that, died in a car accident or a drug overdose. I still experienced it on a level that it affected me. And that's a valid thing to feel.
Yeah.
But for a while I was like, I'm full of shit. Like, why, it doesn't matter. It didn't happen to me. Like, why am I the one feeling this? So yeah, I struggled with that a good bit, thinking, I guess, like, why is this my story to tell?
But my story is
That's so common in the recovery like space. It's like you go into these rooms and you hear these stories and you're like, dude, why am I using drugs over my little problems? This guy. We all are like, my story's not bad enough. And it's like, no, it was just severe enough to get you to where you were supposed to be.
Yep. Sure.
Right? I always say, everybody's Goliath is the perfect size for them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is it okay if I want to hear more from you? You've sprinkled in some insight, but I want to hear your side of this whole thing, the project.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, I think, as a producer, like, no one ever knows what a producer does, like, but your producer is going to be the person who literally makes the movie happen.
Does everything.
Yeah.
Shout out Elliot, dude.
I mean, we couldn't find an email earlier.
It's like,
That's my guy. Yeah, it's all those things. But, this is a newer challenge for me in stepping into trying to raise money for a feature. I've always sort of just been the line producer, someone hired once the money was already there.
Right.
So working on that aspect of it, and then something that's also very exciting, because I do have a creative brain, right? I'm an actor, a writer, I've done improv, and now I produce, but I also have that type A brain that is very useful for this job. It's very useful waiting tables, like I can keep things in line and moving forward very well. But the fun thing about this project is that I get to be a creative producer and work in this development process with him, where we're developing the script and I'm giving notes and we're saying, oh, we should drop this or drop this. And then we're talking to casting directors about potential actors and, like, who does it look like, and, like, who are the roles that we see in it. So that part's all very exciting. And then, once we find the money, so I still have to make our full budget. But so I have developed the budget. We develop a schedule, the budget, and say, like, okay, we think we can do it within this many days. This is the kind of money that we need. And then it's like applying for the state tax incentive. And then we get the money, and then we can hire casting. And then we go to try to find the stars or the actors who fit the role, but are also maybe bankable, people that will bring people
A name.
a name, or someone interesting enough that's like about to, like, blow up.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, yeah.
So sorry, but I
No,
want
This
please.
is so. I'm glad you're saying
Please,
this. Is
yeah.
such an interesting process.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a huge shift now in.
Sure.
I'm a Netflix.
You're a viewer, yeah.
So I'm like,
You're the audience. You're the most important.
but I do notice, which is really incredible. Like I see Vine stars, the Vine.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Who are now on and movies and TV shows, and I see
Sure.
there's this whole social media influencer
Yeah.
thing where these people may not be. It's not the Brad Pitt, right? It's not the Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
But everybody knows that face because they're hitting a couple million on. And do you find that there might be more access, just on your side thing, using the social media influencers or actors?
Yeah.
Or am I just barking up a crazy tree?
No,
right
no,
here?
you're not wrong.
Sorry, dude.
Can I get my perspective on that?
Sure,
Right? Okay,
yeah.
so you've had a lot of experience in that world. For me, this was the first time that I kind of went through that process. So from my perspective, I want to give it just because I kind of was like you guys probably, and I didn't know anything. About
Knuckleheads, dude.
Right,
You could just
exactly.
say, I'm just a knucklehead just like
I had
you.
no idea, man.
Yeah.
So, we met with some casting directors in LA.
Mormon Bowling Casting.
Mormon Casting.
Meg Mormon at Sunny Bowling.
They're awesome.
Yep.
We hired them to basically curate a list of accessible and within our budget range actors for the 3 main roles. When I saw those lists, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, I just saw them in a movie.
You recognize
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny because this was probably a year ago now. And some of the names on that list a year ago were just getting started, and now
They're booming.
Yeah, they've been in some very big projects.
They've been in some really big projects. So that was really cool for me to see that. I was so excited. I was like, let's do it. Let's call him right now, you know?
Yeah.
And but that's obviously not the way it works. Right. But that was really, really cool to kind of see, oh, okay, like this is for real. Like we're going to make a real movie, you know?
It was
really cool.
too. Like, it's wild when your vision starts to become real.
Yeah.
You know, and you're just like in this place of like, oh my gosh, like this is actually happening.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, and that's like, I love that moment too, because I'm a God guy too. For me, that's like God, like kind of give me a smack of like, keep going, dude. You're there, you know?
Yeah. I always say the film gods know.
Yes.
And like you have to trust that like whatever's happening, even if you're in production and like an actor falls out or you lose a location in the middle of your shoot day, it's for a reason.
Right. Yeah.
And it's always better, but you have to be able to maintain that like calm in the middle of it and be like, okay, the film gods know.
Yeah. Let's pivot.
Yeah. To your point about social media, I mean, we talked about that too going through casting, because that was something the casting directors bring up, and it's something everyone brings up now, like, oh, they have like 3 million followers. And some of them we were like surprised that they had that many followers, and some that they offered up, we looked at their work and we're like, no.
Yeah.
Like,
This guy's dancing in his grandma's basement.
Or it's just not, they're not talented enough to carry this
That's
role.
fair.
Right.
Or if they are, you know, or there were some that I was like, they're okay and they have enough followers, like I would audition them.
Yeah.
I would let them read
At least
it.
talk. Yeah.
And see, maybe they have this hidden talent.
Yeah.
But there is a push, and I think we saw it with that movie, He's All That. I think starred like a massive influencer who
Is that a rom-com?
Yeah, it's the
So sorry.
the remake of She's All That, but flipped.
Got it.
And then God, what's her name? Who is in She's All That? Rachel Lee Cook.
Yeah.
She played the mom to the son.
I'm so bad with names. You over here, like every time he says something,
thing
like,
is, I
make
actually
sure we say their name. I'm always like,
Junior too.
the girl who did the thing in that. Anyways, keep going.
But it is a risk of like, do we bank your notoriety, your viewers? Because that's a built-in audience, right? If you have 3 million followers,
Just plug them in.
yeah, those people are going to show up for the movie.
Yeah.
But are you going to be able to do what we need you to do for the? So it is like a crazy balance.
And I think too, like at this level, we also have to think about too. Let's say we find an investor that wants to, you know, throw in a couple $100,000 or whatever. You know, are they going to say, "Yeah, I want direction"? Exactly.
I want my granddaughter.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Like I want this actor to be in the movie if I give you this money, and then you're kind of like, okay, how do you navigate those waters?
Dude, there is a lady on Facebook.
PCS.
She's famous right now, and she sings literally like 2 sentences of a song that blew up. Her dad was a billionaire. I'm not going to do that. Her dad was a billionaire, and I heard her talk recently. She's like, yeah, that wasn't even a song. It was a line that I had written. I blew up, and
Then she had to write the song.
she had to write the song. And the rest of the song's not that great. But I got to find out her dad's a billionaire.
Right.
So, like,
she had the resources to do it.
yeah, man. So I can kind of see that being a situation.
I've tried to become viral. You know,
Hey, we're doing it right now. This is the goal, right?
I have a TikTok. I did some videos during the lockdown that I was like, whoa, 400 views.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is it. This is my big break.
Right. How
But,
many people call your people?
Yeah. But like and that world, and they do work hard. You know, now you know more about influencers. Like it's not easy.
No,
Like the content that they're creating is nonstop. I've had my sister be like, let's do a channel. And I'm like, do you have any idea?
Yeah, exactly.
She's like, I could quit my normal job. And I was like, you have kids? You have a family? Like, are you out of your mind?
Cheerios. Yeah.
That's all the same things my wife said to me when we started this.
But yeah, you're being realistic about it, though. You have other things going on. But yeah, it's a balance. So like, there's the casting aspect, and then the balancing the investors. Like, how much creative control do we give up? if someone comes to us with a bunch of money that maybe shares differing views or we think aren't maybe a great person, do we take the money?
Yeah.
And can we answer to that later when someone comes to us and says,
Yeah.
but you took money from this guy who does these bad things? Right. Or do we
I mean, and you guys probably do your best to vet those kinds of people, you know, as much as you can.
Yeah, we've had some meetings where we've like Googled some people and like looked things up and been like, oh, they're linked to this organization. Okay, great to know. Let's keep that in mind.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's tough. Like, because all money's green.
Yeah.
That's
yes.
tough.
Yeah. But if they'll give us money and want nothing to do with painting the story or inserting creative control, maybe that's worth it, you know, because then it is taking the money from maybe the not great people to give it to the good
Well, it's
people.
just a
Robin Hood, dude. I love discernment,
Yes.
obviously.
Men in
Elizabeth
tights.
Locksley.
Robin Hood, Men in Tights.
Yeah. Dude, one of my favorite movies as a kid. Probably shouldn't watch it as a kid, but I loved it.
Oh, that's all we watched as kids.
Yeah, but I think it's the balance of, you know, trying not to sell your soul to, you know, to make it happen.
But it's hard. I mean, if, you know, some
Yeah.
unnamed horrible person came and said, I'll give you $3 million.
And it's a pitch for their part in the movie. You know what I mean?
Well, sure. If you can play a side role,
Yeah.
that's fine. But yeah, I mean, there's that balance too. People who are like, I want to do this, but I want to play this role.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be wild.
Well, if
the
any
balance?
rich wanting actors,
Who wants
I mean, let's talk.
Yeah. No.
So, what is your guys, as far as production, the film, where you're at, what's your biggest need as of right now? I'm assuming it's money.
Yes. Yeah, connections to investors, I think, that can get us started. Because it's a real chicken or egg situation in this business. I think a lot of things are, but filmmaking, acting, creativity it's like first money in won't come until there's talent.
Right.
Talent won't sign in until there's
Money, yeah.
So even if it's like $100,000, then once we're at the point where like, oh, we have $100,000, then we can hire a casting director and say, find us like a name that will help us pull in more money.
More money. Okay.
So
That makes
investors,
sense.
people interested in making movies. And you know, you don't have to have highbrow reason to like want to be involved in movies. If you want to walk a red carpet and get to know some celebrities and like be a part of the fun of filmmaking, we'll take that too, you know, or connections to people who have money. And then we've also spoken about, you know, working with organizations that do, you know, highlight trafficking or addiction and partnering with them probably more down the road when the film is done and like doing,
With
you know,
like getting it out and things like that.
yeah, doing premieres or screenings and talkings and, you know, talkbacks and things like that.
So you said the first bank role would
Yeah.
go to hire a casting director who then puts a cast together, who then gets more money.
Then we could go to like, say, someone that we want to play Iris. Like,
What if
the
there's-
one I'm thinking of is the one that I was like, no, and you were like, yeah, Odessa.
Yeah,
who's
Odessa
now-
Zion was on the list.
Who was in,
She was in Marty Supreme.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She's on that show.
I watched that movie.
Yeah,
that got
she plays
so many
the-
bad reviews, and I was like, "This is a dope
Right.
movie. It's a really weird movie." I'm sorry.
So
Go
No,
ahead.
that's okay.
No,
She plays the wife or the girlfriend.
Yeah.
Darker
Yeah.
hair. She was on the list.
So she's blown up.
She's black.
Or is it Angourie Rice?
Yeah, and Gory Rice is on there. Maya Hawke was on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that casting director,
Yeah.
we could go then to an agent and say, hey, I have this great script. This is a kind of a role that your actor hasn't played yet. Will they read it? And then the agent says, what's the budget? Do they have any money? You know, and then they can say like, well, here's the budget. This is what they're willing to pay her.
Yeah.
And there is some development funds in the bank now, but we need a name to help attract
Yeah, that makes sense.
those other investors.
Yeah.
So if you had a casting director who was willing to like, hey, I'm really passionate about this cause. I'm willing to give my time and my relationships over to try to. It could start from a relationship that brings the money.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we do have that with Sunny and Meg and Mormon Bull and casting.
Okay, got it.
Sunny, I've brought them multiple projects. They're a team of casting directors who like first-time directors and indie filmmakers, but they won't work on them unless it's something they like.
Yeah.
And so they did already help us by creating those lists, but they also schooled us a bit and were smart enough to say, like, we're not going anywhere near talent until this is further down the
Yes,
road.
I've read. Yeah.
Which
Because
that's good. You know, I mean, give you a little
schedules-
bit of the structure too. And
Yeah.
Figure that out.
Yeah. So yeah, ideally investors first. And then as we get further down the road too, we want to make this in Northern Colorado. We have a relatively good film incentive, but I think this movie is going to take community support in the sense of like people donating locations for us to film, Ben going to his former cop friends and saying, can you guys show up with your cop cars and your uniforms and be extras,
yeah, totally.
at this point? And because those are the things that drive costs up in film. Really expensive, like shutting down roads, like holding traffic, any type of like guns on set or stunts or things like that you have to think through how to do them safely.
Yeah.
And
So crazy.
safely now, after what happened in New Mexico with the arrest shooting and,
with
Alec
Baldwin.
with
I think it's what you're talking about. I don't know enough, but I thought that's what you were going into.
Guys, like some of their ammo got switched out for live ammo. And
Yeah.
while they're filming, the dude got shot and killed.
I thought, pulled the trigger, like killed the cinematographer. Yeah.
That's
Well, that
crazy
sounds
story, dude.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I put that. Probably should.
That was Alec Baldwin?
It was Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
Yeah. But overstretched budget. They had too many people trying to do one role. They didn't have a dedicated like armor. The armor is also doing props. So things like that you have to think through.
And those are all the pennies that add up.
Yeah.
Oh, so much.
Just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm working on this film in Florissant, and we're staying at a summer camp. And after going there, I was like, oh, God, it would be nice if we could put our crew at a hotel instead. But this is a 15-day shoot with a very small, like 25 people crew. So when I counted up all of the nights at the hotel, it equaled like 537 nights of a hotel that I.
Oh my gosh.
And if I calculate that at $85, it was like $45,000 just to house my crew.
and an $85 now.
At 85, and that's if I can get, and that's if I can convince them to give me an out the door $85 a night.
Or get your guys just willing to stay in $85. I've been in $85.
I mean, I've talked some down. I worked in hotels, so I know that like 537 nights is going to get them closer to their goals of what they need to sell. So they'll usually work with you, but
Fair enough.
yeah.
We were just a roofing crew in the middle of nowhere. Mosquitoes eating me. I'm like, I hate my life. I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, and that goes back to protecting the crew of like looking at like, oh God, okay, they all said they'll do this, but like, can we all sleep here?
You guys know the hotel that's down by used to be Johnson's Corner, right off by 25. They had the big red hotel letters. So we made a proof of concept short film for this project, and shot a couple scenes like right there at that hotel.
I saw that. I think I saw it.
Yeah, we sent it to you.
Oh, did we send it to you?
Yeah.
It's actually really well. I was like, man, this looks like a movie already. This is really good,
Yes.
dude.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that. Yeah, and the whole idea of that is to kind of showcase, the abilities of the crew, the
vision.
vision,
Can you?
Can we share any of that here?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, totally.
The proof of concept we can share.
Shortly, not quite yet because
Okay.
I didn't actually put it out yet. It's actually gonna not premiere because it premiered at the Magic Rat film showcase a few months ago, but it's going to screen in downtown LA at one of the Regal movie theaters in downtown LA as part of an annual film festival.
Okay.
Along with a bunch of other shorts that have been in other really big film festivals like Tribeca and I think Telluride was another one. But so the short film is gonna screen on September 17th, and I think the plan is probably to put it out after that.
Yeah, I don't know if
We
we
haven't-
submitted
we
to
haven't
other
really talked
festivals or
about it, yeah.
anything.
Oh, we did,
You
yeah.
You kind of like wait because festivals won't like program you if it's available online.
Right. They want
Those
some
are like, why would-
exclusivity.
yeah.
So
So potentially.
We definitely won't do anything with that.
Yeah, but we do have our pitch video where we talk a
Yeah.
little bit about it. We can share.
yeah, absolutely.
And other,
Yeah.
We have a link to that
projects.
too, I think.
Yeah, we sent that to you guys.
And we can probably, I don't know, we'll figure something out, like interject it into the middle where it makes sense or something like that. Yeah.
Well, I love I'm so excited. I am a sucker for a psychological thriller. I've already said that. But this is like the story that you've shared with us is just like half of the story. And it is,
Sure.
I'm so excited to see this thing because there's such an incredible, psychological, thrilling aspect to this that you wouldn't see.
Yeah.
Right. And some of my favorite movies, I think a lot of people's favorite movies have this.
Yeah.
And this is, would you agree that this is kind of a trending topic right now?
100%.
Yeah.
I think
What's that?
trafficking.
Trafficking
Yeah.
and just addiction, but going farther into it and into trauma. And that's what I love about this is it really serves the addiction space very well.
Yeah.
because it's honest and it's true and it's, you know, hey, this is a Band-Aid to all of these other things, right?
And I think too, like the buzzword I think is probably most recent is generational trauma. Like that's the thing that I've started to hear a lot more about, and it's like the whole thing with that is it's trauma that is just handed down to you, you know, and it's not necessarily something that happened to you to create this trauma in your life. It's just given to you. It's like, hey,
it's passed down in genes.
Yeah,
Genes,
like,
right?
here you were born, so here you go.
And this generation, I find, is addressing that.
Yeah.
And the trafficking thing, which is, I mean, being in America, I've heard so many statistics, but like,
That's
we purchase as Americans there's so much money in this rich nation put towards that. I heard something like 80% of pornography that's on the internet is trafficked. Now, that's like a ballpark, but it's like, and even, and someone said the other day, I was working with a guy and he was like, well, I wouldn't watch that kind of porn. I was like, I don't think you realize you are.
Yeah, you are watching
this, you don't realize that that's this woman's story. Although it doesn't look that way, that's how she got there.
Right.
That's where she's at.
Or there's men
sickening.
off to the side directing
100%. Like
and
that's
on OnlyFans, really.
Yeah.
Women that are big OnlyFans creators.
It's twisted. My recovery, like I started the 12 steps for sex addiction in the intro, or in the beginning, and I remember learning these statistics like, oh my gosh, this is the stuff that I'm watching, and it, to me, a relapse to pornography is as severe to me as a relapse to any substance, because it's like, it takes my soul, dude. And I think it's, they say something like 70% of men in the evangelical church are addicted to porn. Oh, that's crazy.
Wild.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's so widespread. Yeah, right.
No, you're good, man. But like, you're addressing those things, you know? And I feel like this is why I love the guys on the UPD podcast too that we were with, because they're addressing these things and they're taking on those hard-hitting things that nobody really wants to talk about. You know,
It's not a fun thing to look at.
No, it's
and
not.
it's not a fun thing to reckon with.
Right.
But if we don't stop it, big trouble.
I think one of the other components too is, so just talking about the trafficking aspect, is a lot of times it doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like trafficking, and that's one of the things too that one of my hopes in the film is to say, hey, look, this is trafficking. It's, you know, it's not Colfax in Denver where there's women on the street corner, you know, in the little outfits, and then they go and they're pimps around the corner. It's, I mean, that occurs, but a large majority of and we'll just say women, but it does happen to men as well.
Sure.
Who are trafficked for sex. A lot of times it's a family member, it's a boyfriend,
it's a personal relationship.
and that's where the leverage happens. And again, it may not even be, you know, your classic, what a lot of people think is, you know, the woman goes, you know, to 8 hotels a night every night. It could be, you know, hey, if you need a place to stay tonight, cool, you can stay here. We have to have sex with me.
Yeah, I'm going to film it.
Yeah. That, even without that, you know, it's like survival sex. Hey, I just need a place to stay. So, you know, this person's going to offer me a place to stay in exchange for sex. You know, that is a form of trafficking. So, you know, and that is where it's just like almost invisible.
But you're going about it in such an incredible way. To be fair, like, I don't watch stuff like that. I have a hard time watching things that are like, this is too heavy. You sent me a movie and I turned it on, I was like, this is heavy. But the creative spin that you have on this has got me so excited. Because realistically, I just don't like, I'm trying to stay. I got kids to raise, I'm trying to stay. You know what I mean?
No, that's fair. And I think that's the genius of creativity and filmmaking is, you know, and I say this about comedy a lot too, like you could be saying something very, very important when people are laughing and having a great time and then they go home later and are like,
The thing, the guy was
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. I can't just laugh
and
at
I
that.
think, you know, we are in this weird place where people are obsessed with true crime, and like I'm one of them. I'm into all of those things too, and so making it that psychological like thriller / true crime is an accessible way into telling the story that would be incredibly heavy or could be.
When I watch shows like I never watched it, but Euphoria.
Oh yeah.
A lot of this stuff.
We've had a lot of conversations about Euphoria.
I've never seen it. I've heard about it.
Don't watch it.
Don't watch it.
Dude, my wife watched it.
Do you have
and she
kids? Don't watch it.
she told me all about it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
I don't have kids, and I was like, our high schoolers, this is happening. This is how they're living.
I guess I don't watch that. Yeah, I'm good. But you said genius, and that's a perfect word for the way that you're taking this story, this reality, and then marketing in a way where it adds. There is a savior concept, like where you're like, man, we really do need to do something about this, but we're going to add a level of genius here to make it where you want to see this.
Yeah, and art, man. Like, you know, like I feel like the art piece of life is starting to get glazed over.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
With AI and technology, just how quickly
That's right.
produced, you know.
How much more time do we have?
Yeah, I'm
They already made a full AI version of
God,
this
I'll kill
film.
you.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'll help you.
He's so against it.
We'll help you kill him. Or
Delete this.
Cut that out.
The cool thing about the word genius in this context is it's genius of a lot of different people.
Yes.
Even the script, even just the script being written wasn't just me. It was Elizabeth. It was other people that had feedback. It was already a bunch of people putting their, contributing their creativity, their art into making it what it is.
Yeah.
Which is the cool thing about filmmaking too, is it's one of the few art forms that's really truly collaborative.
So collaborative.
Yeah, and it takes so many people to make it happen. Even if you're making like the proof of concept short film, that was, a 10-person crew at times. And it took a lot of people just to make that happen for no money, so
That's awesome.
Really my favorite thing.
yeah.
Before is there anything else that you guys want to touch on before we wrap up?
How do you guys feel about, just like kind of more of a, just like a little investor pitch? I know you already talked about that.
That was what
but
I was I want you guys to share your
Gotcha.
like social medias, all the things where people can find you, and then if you guys are raising money currently, like where can people
Yep.
go?
Oh, yeah.
donate?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sell it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
we do
please, by all means.
have www.aboutaffix.com, which will lead you to more information or to contact us. We have a fiscal sponsor through Denver Film, which means that we can get donations through that fiscal sponsorship. And then that is like a write-up, you can write that off on your taxes. So an investor who wants equity in the film and ownership has to invest at $100,000. So anything below that, if you want to donate $50,000, would go through that fiscal sponsorship. Or honestly, if someone's interested in it, we can talk about, if you want to give us $75,000, but you want to have a little equity or something in the film, we could, we're not going to say no.
That's the point, right?
But yeah, so then the investors have the ability to invest in the film and then get, usually it's set up like where you get 125% return on your investment.
Gotcha.
And then you get a share of the profits once the movie starts making money.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of like you invest your money. It's probably a 3 to 5 year experience. You're not getting it back very quickly, unless it happens a lot faster. Sometimes you can move a little faster. And then, once we make money or sell it, those investors get paid first, especially, we've toyed with setting up our first money in and getting a higher return on the investment because, giving you kudos for being that first money in.
Yeah.
And then once the movie is sold and then, there's a pool of profit participation, it's like 100, they call it like points on the back end. It's like 100%. And typically there's a pool, 50 points are for investors and then 50 points go to the producers and sometimes the actors, like you give your actors points on the back end. If you can't pay them, they're $1 million they're used to. So it's a nebulous thing that moves and changes as other people come on board.
Sure.
It's a negotiation.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. It's like setting up a small business venture for a few years, but it's super fun. You get to, like I said, if you want to walk red carpets or
Just this
go to
conversation has
premieres.
been so much fun. I just love the creative process behind all that, and I've always wondered really how they put together these insane movies.
Crazy example most recently is Obsession. Obsession, the one that's in the theaters now. I don't know if you guys have seen ads for trailers, but yeah, that was an indie feature film as a horror film.
It was made for $750,000.
Yeah, 750 grand, and made the movie. The director sold it for, I think, 15 million.
Jeez.
And it has now gone on to make like 500, 600 million at the box office.
That's insane.
Yeah, it just blew up. So yeah, it's truly, and the things that have kind of come out, there's, I think the art director or somebody who was on the film who made, maybe made $750 a day.
No, not
even that. $350 a day.
Yeah.
She kind of came out and said, right. She kind of came out and said, and I actually don't think the way she said it was as bad as a lot of people are making it out to be. She kind of was like, hey, this movie just made all this money, but I still only made, $350 a day. And there was kind of some backlash on her for saying that, but.
Well, I mean, it's like producers take that risk, right?
Yeah.
Like usually they're probably losing money. This is a very unique situation. It's also like a very popular YouTuber who had a huge built-in audience. But that's raised a lot of really important questions, and people are now talking, like I've been talking with other producers about like, how do you set up a structure where maybe it's a bonus structure where your crew who did do that and did kill themselves and lived in a camp for 15 days and slept in bunk beds and took a low rate, maybe it's that if we sell this movie for 10 million or more, you get a bonus of this amount, and you go back and you give your crew bonuses.
Yeah.
Because points on the back end are nice, but they don't always come to fruition like this. Like
Exactly.
And that makes
hope
sense
that
too. It's like, I mean, that's kind of how we operate in sales.
Right.
It's like
And-
you get paid upon success.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what a lot of people have pointed out. Like, but like when you work at a company, you don't get like a percentage of the profits when the company becomes very successful because you've signed on to work and you're not taking the risk of putting your money up for it.
The risk.
Yeah.
The risk is
Yeah.
the risk, the reward.
But yeah. But so there's exciting things happening there. So we can set our film up in that sense too, perhaps, or I'm working with some other young filmmakers on a project. And I was like, hey, now that we know this, I'll do this job for you at a much discounted rate that I don't normally work at. If you sell it for $5 million, can I have a $20,000 bonus? And they were like, yeah. I was like, sweet.
Yeah. You guys
I was going to say, that's why I'm learning in life too. The things I want for, I just ask for it.
Yeah.
Like, hey, are you willing to do this?
Right. So it's opening up those conversations. But film, it's like any art, right? It's like people who donate to museums or people who donate to music or music foundations. Like it has to be something you're interested in, that you're passionate about, that you want to support. Really the artists.
Yeah.
And you can't necessarily expect an ROI all the time.
Right.
So where can people go to find out more information about you guys personally, kind of your...
So on, as Elizabeth mentioned, www.aboutafix.com. We have a bunch of information on there about us. I think we have a whole investor pitch deck as well, that we have bio sections. And if I remember right, I think I copied those onto the website.
Yeah, they should be on there.
So they can find out about us. There's information about the story, about the production, and again, there's we made basically a pitch video, talking about the film, talking about the production. That Sarah, the cinematographer, is in there. Some of her work is in there as well, and that's on the website as well.
So we can share that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Of course.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, is there anything else that you guys want to add? Anything else that you guys are looking for right now?
Money.
Money. Always money. I know.
No, and
So are we.
Right. I mean, no.
Yeah.
Just
Again, from
support.
my perspective too, first time kind of doing this, it is really cool to see that we've gotten to the point in this process where that is literally the next step. All these other things are already in place.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's already been, significant planning and, steps taken.
Yeah.
What would be considered like pre-production or development that have already happened. And it's just now that's the next step.
So like you guys have two people with just an idea.
Exactly.
Actually,
Yes.
I'm sorry I cut you off.
No, I was just going to say, and I will say that, like, as a line producer, my track record is I've brought every film in under budget and not over budget. And I realized recently, I have to start bragging about this too, is like every film that I've line produced, none of them have had to do reshoots, which is not common. I said that to someone lately.
And that's,
they were like, "What?"
that's something too that I've like, celebrate your wins.
Yeah.
And celebrate them publicly, and that's what attracts people to you, and that inspiration, So, well, One, I just want to say thank you guys. I'm excited for this movie to come out, and then when it comes out, to come back with you guys and talk
That'd be
about
fun.
Dude, that would be awesome.
the rest of that process and how that looked. And but I just know that this is not an if, but a when.
Yeah.
I can tell that you guys have a lot of passion, and this is a topic that really needs to be addressed.
I think so.
And I appreciate what you guys are doing too, and just the journey that you guys have all taken and gone through to get to this point. That's not a lot of people in that were in that point in life can say that. So
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
It means a lot.
Yeah.
Truly.
Thank you.
Okay, guests, we are going to put in their pitch video in this episode. www.aboutafix.com is where you can go to find out more information about the film, about the writer, the producer, Ben and Elizabeth, and kind of just what they're all about. So, guys, thank you so much for your time and for putting your hearts into a project like this. Very, very cool. So please let us know how we can support you in the future moving forward. And we just really appreciate it.
thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay. And to our guests, thank you guys so much. I know it's in the middle of the video, but I'm going to say it again. Like and subscribe. The more people that we get to come in and like this stuff and subscribe to it, the bigger our audience grows, the more impact that we can have and really serve this community of addiction and really finding our purpose in life. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. If you found value in it, YouTube knows that you're sober. Click this video right now. Do it. Subscribe.